All right. Well, hopefully everyone who's joining is in. We may have some stragglers, but we're going to go ahead and get started. Today's webinar topic is end-of-year procedures for all of our applications except Aware. So we're glad you could be here today. I am Paige Parker, and I'm part of the training and implementation team. Also on the call today are Alicia Thomas.
Hello, how are you doing?
And Joel Adkins.
Hey, everybody.
So we're going to hopefully go over all the things that you need to do to finish out your year and answer any questions that you have. Speaking of questions, you do have an option to post questions in the Q&A window. So in your little control bar, you can go there to post questions. We'll be able to view them. We're going to try to answer those questions as the session is going as best we can. And then if you have questions that are not on today's topic, we're going to ask that you send those in an email instead of putting them in the Q&A window. It's tough for us to keep track of questions off topic and also make sure we're keeping up with the ones that are on topic. So if you'll send those others to our email at training@eduphoria.net, someone will get back to you as soon as we possibly can. Our objectives for today are to support end-of-year transition tasks for archiving and settings management. So we're going to go through all the things that you need to do to get ready for the end of the year and also manage your settings to be prepared to start that new year, and also to provide guidance for accessing help resources for end of year tasks. So we're going to show you where you can find some additional information about the topics that we cover today. Before we go any further, you will hear us use the term Eduphorian, and we just wanted to make sure that y'all know what we mean by that. The Eduphorian for each district is the person who's charged with setup and managing settings. They're usually the point of contact for your district with Eduphoria. So you may be the Eduphorian in your district and just haven't heard that title before, but that's what we mean when we refer to an Eduphorian. Okay, our summer actions checklist, some things that we're going to be talking about today. We have start and end of year checklists in our help section. Joel's going to talk about the help section a little bit more later on. We also have some hot topics that we want to make sure that you're thinking about as you go into this point in the year. One is the system management calendars. You need to set that instructional calendar as soon as one school year ends so that it's active and ready to go for teachers writing lesson plans or curriculum over the summer, or teachers creating tests over the summer. So getting that calendar up to date is one. Goal archiving is another, and we're going to talk about that in just a couple slides. And then also there is a new T-PESS in town, and it takes effect in August. So we'll talk about getting that set up as well. All right, we're going to start with the instructional suite, which is what we call Strive, Aware, and Forethought. But since Aware is next week, today we're just going to be talking about Strive and Forethought. So I'm going to start with goals, and this shows the life cycle of a goal, the entire process. So back in the fall, teachers created their goals, they submitted them to their appraiser, the appraiser approved them, the teacher worked on their goal, and they marked that goal complete. Steps 5 and 6 are what we're going to be talking about right now. So the teacher clicks on that complete button when they think the goal is completed. And then during that end of the year conference, one of the two of them agree that that goal is, or the both of them agree that that goal is complete, and then they archive it. And there are a couple of different ways that this process can happen. Actually, there are 3. The teacher and appraiser together decide that the goal is ready to be marked archived, and one of them can do it. They both have the ability to do that. Or if the appraiser says, no, I don't think that goal is ready to archive, then it can be edited and worked on again for the following year. And then if neither of them archives it, it will get marked completed with the other documents. So I want to go through that in a little more detail. This is scenario 1, where the teacher is going to mark the goal completed. So I'm going to go in as a teacher, and I'm in Strive. I'm looking at my goals. I'm going to go to my goal, and I have done my work. I have attached my evidence. I have completed my action items. I think I'm done with this goal. I'm going to go ahead and click on the complete button, and that says to my administrator, I think I have done the work. In that end of year conference, I'm going to talk to my administrator and we're going to decide, is it ready to archive? If so, they may ask me to click the archive button, or if I go in as a principal, and I'm just going to refresh since I just marked that one complete. If I go in as a principal and look at that same goal, now I have the archive button as a principal too. So either the principal or the teacher can archive that goal once they have both agreed that it's ready to be archived. So that's scenario one, where I go in and complete it and one of us clicks the archive button. Scenario two would be if my administrator says, no, I don't think you did complete that goal. I want you to continue working on it next year. So as a teacher, I can go in and I can say, I want to reopen this goal. I'm not going to archive it. I want to reopen the goal. I want to edit that goal. And it says I will have to resubmit, and I know that. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to set my target completion date to be next year. So I'm going to continue working on this goal for another year. And I'll just set my date there and save it. And now I'm going to submit it for approval again. So it's going to go back to my appraiser, who will see that I have reopened that goal and I'm going to continue working on it again. And I would submit for approval and say, okay. So that's scenario two. Actually, there's another part of that. I could copy it to a new goal. So if I wanted to go ahead and archive a goal, let me do this with my second goal. I'm going to return to the evaluation, and I'm going to go to my second goal, which is already approved. And instead of, maybe I marked it complete, but I'm not going to archive it, or I do want to archive it and just say, this is what I did this year, but I want to start it again for next year too. So if I want to have one to show that I worked on it this year that's archived, I can do that and then copy this goal and make a new one. It will have all of the success criteria, it'll have the dimensions, it'll have action steps. What it won't have is any evidence that I completed last year. So if I want to start over new next year with new evidence, then copying to a new goal is probably the best way to go. Then I can set my target completion date and work on that for next year. So the difference between opening it and editing the date and continuing to work on it versus copying to a new goal is that copying to a new goal does not keep the evidence, whereas editing it and changing the dates does keep the evidence. So if you want it all in one chunk of evidence, I would say edit and change the dates. And then the last option is that the goal gets marked completed, but nobody archives it. And if that happens, then when the district archive is run, it will include those goals in the archive. So before you do the archive, I want to talk about some reports that will help you know if your archive is ready to go so that your archive will be complete. And we do have an article in our online help section. If I go into Strive and I go to the reports section, there's an article called Suggestions for Running Reports in Strive. And the ones that I'm going to talk about today are this one that says run before the teachers leave. It's the goal summary spreadsheet. The evaluation status report tells you here to run it at the end of the year to make sure your documents are in an archivable state. And then the last one I'm going to show today is the Unsigned Documents Report. This one also says run before teachers leave at the end of the year. So we're going to look at those reports today in the system. When I run the goal summary spreadsheet, it is going to generate a document, a spreadsheet that looks like this. It will have a column for each state that the goals could be in. And what I want to see before the end of the year is all my goals are going to be in one of these two columns, because either they got archived during that end of year conference as one of scenarios 1 and 2, or they were marked complete and will be ready to archive when that whole district archive is run. Any goals that are still showing up here in unsubmitted, submitted, or approved will not get archived. So running this report and going in and talking to teachers and saying, hey, you need to mark your goal completed and talk to your appraiser about it so that it'll get archived. That needs to happen before those teachers leave. Any goals that were submitted but never approved, in order for them to get completed, the appraiser will have to go in and approve them, and then the teacher can complete them. So it'll let you know what the steps require based on where they are here. But what I want to see before everybody leaves is all the goals are either completed or archived, or they have been resubmitted because it's next year's goal, because I reopened it and I resubmitted it. So that'll help you kind of monitor where you are with the goals process. The second report that you're going to want to run is the evaluation status report. And I want to show you this one just because there are some options. When you run an evaluation status report, up at the top, it can be run as a summary by school or detailed by appraiser. Summary by school puts one line for each user, and all of their documents are on that same line. So that's handy if I just want to see how many walkthroughs somebody had, or that everybody has something in that column. But what I want to do is run it detailed by appraiser, because that's going to give me the dates. And I'm going to come over here and show you what that report looks like. Instead of being one line per user, it's one line per document. So you can see here, I have a teacher, and there are two lines for that teacher, because one is a walkthrough and one is an observation. And each document gets its own line. But the reason I want to run this one at this particular time of year is because of this viewable column. If this document says not sent, that means that the appraiser did not click the button at the top that says let staff view. And if they don't let staff view, then that document will not get archived. So I want to go through and look at my viewable column here and see, are there any documents that did not get sent to the teachers? Then I want to let those appraisers know, and I can see the appraiser's name up here at the top. I want to let that appraiser know that they need to go in and send those documents to the teachers so that the teachers can view them. First of all, I want them to view them because I want them to learn from that evaluation. But secondly, if it's marked not sent, if it has not been made viewable, then it's not archivable. Okay, and then the last document is the Unsigned Document Report. Any documents that require a signature, like if you ask teachers to sign the observation or the summative, if either signature is not done on that document, it will not get archived. So you want to make sure that that happens before teachers leave if it's the teacher side. So when you run the Unsigned Document Report, and you have two ways to run it. You can run it as a PDF, which is what I did here, or you can run it as a spreadsheet. I don't really need to manipulate the data right now. I just need to look at it. So I ran it as a spreadsheet because then I can see each campus if I'm running it at the district level. And I can see the appraiser didn't sign it or the staff member didn't sign it. And I can see who the appraiser is and who the staff member is. So I would need to talk to those people and get them to sign those documents. If they're not signed, if either piece is not signed, then that document will not get archived. So the goal for this report is for it to be totally blank, because if it's totally blank, then you don't have any unsigned documents hanging out there, and that's what you want to see. So all three of those reports will help you get ready. I do want to mention one other resource about the signatures. In our YouTube channel, if you go to our YouTube channel and you do a little quick search over here that for eSignatures, we have a couple of videos out there that I think will be helpful. This one is a very short one, 3 minutes and 16 seconds, and it's about going through the process of signing the documents. So it talks about teacher signing and appraiser signing. And then the lunch and learn that we did a little while back goes through all aspects of it. So setting up documents to be signed, as well as the signature process. So both of those I think will be helpful. And then we also have one that shows up here. If you scroll down, well, it did a minute ago when there it is, went past it. We had a lunch and learn not too long ago, completing appraisal tasks for teachers. And so that may be something that you want to look at and share with your teachers to help them get everything finished up and ready to go. And then When we run all those reports and we think we're ready, now we're going to do the archive. So archiving creates PDF versions of all of the documents that you have in your system. As an administrator, whoever the Eduphorian is going to go into appraisal settings. So over on the left, I'm going to go to settings and appraisal settings. And then at the bottom of that left-hand frame, you'll see archive appraisals. And I'm going to click there. You can just leave everything selected and it will archive anything that you have in your system, including, as you can see here, the professional goals. So they will get archived if they haven't already been. What I want to do is make sure that my start date and my end date cover every possible document that could be created. So this may be my first day of school, but if I had teachers come in a week before that and maybe they started writing their goals or doing their reflections before that, I might want to back my start date up a week or so. And then my end date, that was my last day of school, but maybe I had some administrators who had some final details they had to do before they were finished. I might want to give them a couple of weeks so I could click and change the date there. Also, this is going to archive T-test, T-PESS, all of your evaluations. So I would want to make sure that all of my departments and everybody was finished, give them the time to do that. Most of our districts archive sometime early June, June 15th, somewhere. And I'm going to go up to my start date. Oops. I think I just unshared my screen accidentally. I'm going to go up to the top and click on start date, and I'm going to back that up. So if my teachers came back on the 3rd, maybe I want to go back to the 3rd, or maybe I want to go back to a couple days before that to start my window. And I would change this. And then I'm going to change my end date to be that couple weeks in. Maybe I'll go until the 18th of June. And so I'm going to change it on my instructional calendar first. And then I'm going to go back into Strive and change it on my archive. So I would change the dates here, and you'll see it automatically did it because it's pulling from that calendar. Now I have my date range set broad enough to catch all of the documents in the archive. I would go ahead and click this archive button up here. And that's all there is to doing the archive. The heavy lifting comes in making sure that you're ready for the archive. And then after the archive is done, it's time to get ready for next year. So we do have some resources out there for you. We have a Strive preparation checklist, and I'm going to go on to back to our online help section and go into Strive. And I'm going to ask Joel to remind me. Oh, I bet it's not there. I bet it's under our start and end of school. So if I go to start and end of school under setup settings for manager tasks, there is a setup tasks for appraisal administrators. There's one for each of our applications, but since I'm talking about Strive right now, you can go in here and find a list of all the things that you're going to want to be thinking about. But that illustration that we were looking at on the slide is this checklist that Joel created that walks you through a process of examining everything that you have in your system, look at what you're currently using, decide if you feel like it's being effective for you or if you need to make some changes, and then setting your deadlines to get those updates done. So that's a handy little checklist that will help you prepare for next year. And then we also have information about all the other things that you might want to do. Oh, and then also the new T-PESS, which is taking effect in August. We have already put all of the templates out there for you. So if I go back to Strive, and I'm going to go down to information and updates, there's an article called Set Up the New T-PESS Process. There is a video that you can watch that will walk you through creating that process. And then it's just some screenshots showing you every district already has the new frameworks. We pushed those out. So the new T-PESS framework is out there for you. We have a little screenshot showing you how to add those templates in from our Eduphoria community. If you have not used the Eduphoria community before or in a while, just remember when you go in to click that little green updates or refresh symbol up in the top right so that you'll be sure you're getting the most up-to-date list of documents. And then I have put a little list in there of all of the templates that we have in our system that we've already created that you can use to build your process. So we've got information out there for you to create your T-PESS process. You will need to create an appraisal type for assistant principals and principals this year. There'll need to be 2 separate ones because they have different documents under this new framework. Go ahead, Alicia. I was just going to say, Alicia's going to take over and talk about professional development.
No problem. Thank you so much. So yes, for teachers and staff members, you're going to go into your portfolios to ensure your portfolio is complete and also to print your portfolio. So Paige, are you going to, screen share real quickly and we can all walk them through that?
Yes.
This is important to maintaining your own record of professional development from the school year and to also ensure that your portfolio is complete. So to access your portfolio, you're going to go to My Professional Learning and select My Portfolio. You can click Print by clicking the icon up there at the top center of the screen. And you can print by clicking, again, the icon at the top center of the screen, but also the document will print as a PDF. If you are leaving your district, you can take your portfolio with you by requesting from your district professional development administrator your WXE file. So your WXE file can be imported into your new district's Eduphorian site. For your professional development administrators, in the next slide, in a moment, I will discuss how you can pull teacher staff WXE files for those that request it. So lastly, for teachers, right now is a great time to start registering for summer PD courses. So Paige is showing you right there how you can access the course catalog. Your districts may have already published those offerings in your course catalog, or you can, of course, also complete trainings outside of your district to be added later into your portfolio through requesting credit. Okay, so we can go into now what your professional development administrators are going to do. Okay. So for staff leaving your district, they may request their portfolio files, as I just mentioned, to take with them. This will require you to download their WXE file. To locate a staff member's WXE file, go to Workshop Settings and Staff Management. From Staff Management, select View Portfolios. Enter the staff member's name that has requested the file. And then in the top right corner is Portfolio Transfer with a drop-down menu. Then you're going to select Export File to download the WXE file. So that's simple there for doing that. So also, if your district is not using Active Directory, just a couple other things. Deleting users after the year is over is also important if they're leaving your district. Also, it's also important to update your courses. For instance, with credits and categories, it's important to kind of reevaluate and consider the reasons you are creating a new credit type and how you're using those. If it is for searching in a course catalog, categories is the better option for using for searching. But also, it is a rule of thumb to never delete your credit types. This action will definitely result in credits being deleted in your portfolios for courses those credit types are connected with. So very important, again, to not delete your credit types. Again, credit types is not used for searching. That would be more for categories using that instead. If you have any changes with like your instructors for the year, it is important to not delete those instructors as well from your courses. It is also will affect data in your portfolios. We recommending adding new instructors and guests for upcoming year, but not removing instructors. So if you want to show them how to add instructors and guest instructors, they can be done in your workshop settings.
So I'm going to go to workshop settings.
And under workshop setup, you can see there where you can add both your instructors and also your guest instructors there. And so those are the things kind of wrap up for you PD administrators for you to do that from there.
All right. Any questions before we move on from Strive? Because that wraps up our Strive section.
No questions.
Awesome. All right, so I'm just going to talk briefly about Forethought. There's not a lot that needs to be done in Forethought, but the teachers do need to unshare their lesson planners. So if they have shared their planner with someone else, maybe they're mentoring another teacher, or they shared with someone who has case management kids in their classroom, they need to unshare that lesson planner before they leave at the end of the year. They can always reshare it at the beginning of next year if they need to, but since the teacher who does the sharing owns that, if they leave during the summer, then their lesson planner is just forever shared. And it's up to the Eduphorian to go in and undelete them and do some cleanup, impersonate them, make some changes. It's a longer process. So just as part of that end of the year cleanup, ask all of your teachers to unshare their lesson planners, and you won't have that issue if teachers move during the summer. It's also a good time to update team planners. If you know that you have team members who are leaving or team members who are joining, that they know their assignments for next year already, you can make those changes. But if you do start deleting users from a team planner, make sure you leave at least one person on the team. When that last person gets deleted, the whole team gets deleted and the planner is deleted and there's no recovery. So you want to make sure that you keep somebody in the team so that that team stays open until you add new people in next year. And then back to school, we always mention it at the end of the year. Some people already know that they're changing campuses or they're changing teaching assignments, but before they start school, teachers all need to update their profiles and make sure that they have the right grade level, subject area, and campus for the new school year. For managers, again, updating that instructional calendar in the management app needs to happen as soon as the school year is over, so that you have a new calendar for next year and teachers can see the new calendar with the dates in their planners, and also those dates are available when tests are being created. And then the other thing is to check and update any standards or templates or checklists that you have in the planner. We do have AP standards available in our system now, so if you had not already added AP standards into your system, brought them into the courses where they need to be, this would be a good time to be doing that when you go in to do your standards management. Other than AP, I don't know of any new standards that are taking effect this year for the first time, but we do have all the updated standards in our system. Okay, that's it for Forethought and for the instructional apps. So I'm going to turn it over to Joel for the logistical apps.
So we're going to talk about the logistical apps here, specifically Formspace, just real quick going through these. So if you're a manager within Formspace, before you clean up your forms, before you make changes to them, we always recommend at the end of the year to run the reports. And in the reports, you can select a form and then go up to print. And there's an option to export the data or the summary data to Excel. So you want to pull all the data from the form down to where you can save that data before you do something like erasing all the document responses. That can be done by clicking on a form and then going to the settings tab for the individual forms, where you can click on the button to clear document responses. So again, that's something that you would want to do once you're done using the form and after you've exported that data, just to keep it current for use for next year. Another thing to do in Formspace, if there's any changes in jobs and roles, going in and updating the workflows. Again, it's, as you see in the picture on the right, when you click on a form, you have the tabs across the top, and one of them is workflow, and that's where you can designate the workflow for the forms to go through. And it's always good, especially in the summer before school starts, to make sure of any changes, any position changes where workflows may need to be updated for the new year. And then, of course, as I said before, you want to archive forms that you're not using just to keep your list clean. And then you can clear out those document responses as well. Let's talk about facilities and events and help desk. Like, these are the ones I love training on. So for both applications, within those applications, you manage the user roles and rights. Again, this is a thing to do closer to the start of the school year when you know who is going to be in their roles and if there's any changes that have happened. It's just putting it on your checklist to go in and remember to update the roles and rights within facilities and events in help desk. And that's a setting that's inside of each application. In facilities and events as well, if you're big into doing inventory, if there's any room changes, maybe a bond added a new campus or new wing to your school, you want to make sure that those rooms are added into your inventory settings in facilities and events. And almost similar to the workflows, if you need to update your asset managers, if it's someone who's managing a room, you can do that as well as update those approval workflows. And so I do have facilities and events open just to show you what this looks like. But here I am in the inventory tab in facilities and events. I have my list of rooms as part of one of my campuses. I can add different rooms to it as I need to. When I click on a room, I can go to the reservations and assignments for that room and make any changes to who is the asset manager for that and if there's any type of workflow that's needed. Also, as the manager, this is where I have that manage tab, and I can go in and manage my users and the access that they have inside of facilities and events to assign roles to them. Let me see, I'll just go to a little Baxter here. And this is where I can assign their roles for what they're doing and any other rights that they have access to inside of facilities and events. It's also where in the Manage tab, I can manage the reservation workflows. So if anything has changed, if there's any staffing changes in the steps, then I can go in and make those changes to them. Are there any questions about facilities and events or Formspace?
No, there are not. You covered it so well, there are no questions.
I think a lot of people are interested in the Strive stuff. So in help desk, the goal there is really the only thing that people do, and it's optional. It's nothing that's really required, but you have the ability to archive tickets, especially if you have a lot of tickets. But you would have to go into help desk itself. It's in the management setting as well. So if I'm in help desk in the manage tab and I click on archived requests, the button appears here for archive old requests, and you set the start date for when you want to begin the archive and then the end date. So it closes out that group of them. So we have that. That's help desk. So archiving tickets is part of this. Also, we talked about if you needed to manage your technicians, this is where you would add your technicians and then make any changes to their roles and rights in the system as well. So that's closing out help desk, facilities and events, and Formspace. Let's see. Let's talk about help. I want to talk about help. The reason I came on to be on this webinar was to talk more about what type of help resources we do have available. So one of the things you may see in the applications is what's called Eddy Helps. Usually it's on the right side of the screen, but you have the ability to click and drag it where you want if it's in the way of something else you're trying to do. But in Eddy Helps, it has a search bar at the very top where you can type in terms you're looking for. It is automatically connected to what we call our online help guide. So if it doesn't have a step-by-step flow to show you what to do, it's already linked to that screen where our online help guide articles are. And so as you are looking for search items, it's going to put those items in the list and you can click on it as you go through it. And then there's folders that have grouped items inside of them. And I think I have a screen open up here. Let's see. I'm gonna have to move this down. Here we go. Yeah. So here I am in system management. Eddy Helps is over here on the right. Like I said, if it's in the way, I can click and drag it somewhere else if I want to move it. You have the ability to do that as well. And the one I clicked on to open here was If I wanted to learn about calendars, I can create an instructional calendar and it's going to pop up a little step-by-step. It's pointing over here. It's got 11 steps in it, and I can click it and it's going to tell me step-by-step what I need to click on to complete whatever task it is. So that's Eddy Helps. It's available for you to access that type of information. If I go back over here, let's see. We also have what we talked about earlier, the online help guide, which is included inside of Eddy Helps. So when I'm on that screen, let me go back to my little screen here. When I go back to Eddy Helps, there's a link to online help guide. And this is in every one of the windows, and it's just going to take you to the main screen. And these are what we call our help articles. They're step-by-step directions. So if you click on like start and end of school, this was that list of items that Paige went over earlier. And it's literally the start of school checklist, but then it's also the appraiser tasks. And then whoever is the Eduphorian, it will let you select that item, and it's going to be the step-by-step task that you need to complete. So it's already available. It's just a written piece of information to help you there. I did want to share one more thing, and that's in that help area. Let me go back to this. When you go into our help resources and go to training and webinars, upcoming webinars is a list that we keep current of all of our upcoming webinars that are available. We also have a section for how to use Eddy Helps over here. And then there's also this information about video training on demand. I wanted to share this because we have our own YouTube channel, and Paige showed it a second ago, like accessing it, but this is the direct link to it. You really only need to go to it once. And then once you're in there, you'll have a button that says subscribe. And anytime we post new content, it automatically emails you when that content is available. And really, the link to our YouTube channel is just youtube.com/Eduphoria videos. I think we have a link to it in the slides as well. So once you're in there, you can subscribe to our videos. And something that we are doing with our videos is especially with our webinars. I'm just going to click this one. What I wanted to show is for our videos, whenever you go to the description of a video, you can click show more. And all of our videos are like split into chapters. So if you don't want to watch a whole webinar, I mean, this one's 38 minutes and 34 seconds. You may not have that time on your hand. You can go through, and where it's split by time, this is a hyperlink. So if I click on 7:42 right here, it's going to hop ahead into the video to that time frame. So you can jump ahead and start watching part of a video. You don't have to grab the time bar and pull it yourself, though you can. But if you notice, as I move over the time slots, it's showing me those individual chapters that I can then click on. And the other thing about this is, let's say you saw something that you want to share with your team, then you can right click on one of these and create a link address. And what it does is it's going to change that address for the video to include the time where it occurs. And you can then send that directly to someone, and then they can click that link and it's going to take them to that point in the video. And it just makes it a lot easier, we hope. So that's in all of our YouTube videos that we have in our system. And like when we publish this one, you're going to get the link tomorrow to the video, and it's already going to be sliced up for you. So you can click on show more, and it'll show you the specific points in time that are covered in the video, and then you can access it that way.
Not right now.
Okay. So I want to talk about upcoming webinars. We are finishing up our season. We are going to finish up this year on June 30th. Next week, we have the Aware end of year tasks on the 2nd. Goodness, I can't believe June's already here. And that one, the reason we split this out is because there's so much stuff in Aware that is covered that they needed their own time. And then we have so many apps, it just needed separation. We like presenting with our Aware friends, but they need their own space. And we do too for all of the information to cover. So if you need to register for that, you can go to, I put a shortened URL at the top here, and you can access our webinars. It'll also be a link inside the email you'll get tomorrow for the recording information. So Aware end of year tasks is going to be next week. After that, we made the announcement about Aware and Axiom. Districts have Axiom for this coming year with all the data. So our partners at Region 10 and our Aware team are going to be presenting information about that on June 16th, timely for when the data files are ready. And then I want to talk about the Strive ones. I know we have a lot of PD people in here and evaluation people, administrators. So this is really important. I want to talk about these webinars. So on the 23rd, we are going to be presenting about the types of data that you should be seeing in Strive and how to use it. We're going to be showing the framework analysis and the different types of data that can be pulled, how to look at goal information tied to professional development. And so we're going to present this information in a way to show this is how, these are the types of reports that you can pull, and here's the type of data that you can see, and here's some ways they use that data. Now, if at that point you're not seeing that type of data, then you may want to recommend whoever manages Strive on your side, they may want to attend the following one on the 30th, which is Begin with the End in Mind, where we're going to show how to set up Strive to pull the type of data that we showed in the previous one. So again, it's kind of a mini series in a way, but we want to make sure that you have the information about what those are. You're welcome to come to both of those Strive ones. We'd love to have you there. It's just one of them is really showing what you can do with the data, and the other one is showing you how to set it up to get the best data. All right. So you can also, in our online help, you can register for receiving announcements based on your attendance here. I think you've been receiving announcements, but just letting you know that that is available there. There's a form you fill out to receive Eddy's news, and it's got information there for you. We are also on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Eduphorian, and I put the link. You can see it down there, youtube.com/Eduphorian videos. If you miss a webinar, if you didn't register for it, but you're subscribed to the channel, when we post the video in our YouTube channel, it will let you know it's there, even if you didn't subscribe for it. Anything else from my partners in crime here?
We don't have any open questions right now, but if y'all think of a question after the session is over, remember you can email us at training@eduphoria.net.
Perfect. Well, thank you, everyone. Thanks for taking your time with us today. We really appreciate it. And I know that we all hope you have not only a great week, but also a great end of year.
See you guys later.